Hey, this is Chris with Hi-Lux Optics. So today we're going to take a look at getting your Malcolm 8 power scope set up and ready for competition. Right here we got the 1908 Springfield. First thing I would do is to make sure that the bases are on nice and tight and not rocking at all. So if necessary, we recommend using a drop of blue or red Loctite if you're not planning to move them. And once they're all set, and slide your mounts right on. So this is an important step. The mounts actually index to this crescent cut right here. So once you get them on, we recommend just tightening them up a little bit and making sure that this thumb screw is set within that groove. So got it tightened a little bit and just rock it back and forth. If it's locking in the groove, it should not move. All right. There we go, that one's in. Now let's go for the rear. Great. Once you got it finger tight, you can use the tool and tighten it all the way down. You don't need too much torque on this, just hand tight with the tool should be fine. Now let's do the rear. So we've actually extended the length of this so you can tighten this thumb nut around the turret. So cut that in. That should be pretty good. Let's double check the front one. All right. Good to go. Sweet. Now we'll take a look at how to get everything set up from eyepiece to the objective. So the first thing you need to be aware of on the eyepiece is this is your diopter setting. You can get the reticle and sharp focus by rotating the eyepiece counterclockwise or clockwise. And once you have it all set, you can tighten this lock ring so that it's flush against the eyepiece. Once it's against the eyepiece, your diopter setting is locked in. Next, we'll look at this ring right here. So this is actually the reticle frame or the reticle bracket. If the reticle is not plumb, you can loosen up these two Phillips screws on the side and plumb the reticle with your mounting position. So out of the box, out the factory, make sure that the reticle is plumb on the collimator, but depending on your mounting blocks, it could have a slight cant, so you can do some fine tuning right here. Next up, we have the rear mount. So these are the new Malcolm 8 power competition mounts. Assuming that you've mounted the front and rear spaced center to center of 7 1/4 inches. So each click will give you a 1/4 minute of adjustment, and we've indexed the turrets so that it's counterclockwise. So the numbers will go up as you're dialing your point of impact up. These top screws, we recommend tightening down to 6 to 7 inch-pounds of torque. Once you got that set, you should be good to go. So once you have all that, the next thing I would check is your eye relief position. So if you notice, there's 2 lock rings right here. These lock rings set the position for how far the scope can move under recoil. After every shot, you're going to have to pull that scope back into battery. And the front ring, or the lock ring behind the front mount, in regards to the eyepiece, that's the one that sets your eye relief. So you want to make sure when you pull it back that you have the full sight picture in view in the eyepiece. So as long as the front mount itself is on the poke rib, you should be able, the scope will slide in a straight line and you won't lose your ending reticle will be perfectly plumb. Next, we have the parallax adjustment up front. So this is a little tricky. In order to access the parallax, you have to remove the sunshade. Once you remove the sunshade, you'll reveal the objective lens housing. So actually, parallax is adjusted by moving this front lens forward or back. If you turn this ring clockwise, you'll be pushing the lens outwards, and this brings closer targets into focus. As you see over here, there's a series of lines that give you a rough reference mark for different parallax settings. So let's see, if I bring it out over here, this is roughly set for 50 yards. And what we recommend is you go to a 50-yard range, set up your target, and fine-tune that setting. So once you have your target lined up, you can move your head a little bit, see if the crosshairs stay on your same aiming point. If it does, what we recommend is you can make a little mark on this index ring right here so that you know where your 50-yard parallax setting is, or so forth. Or for the match distances, 200 yards and 600 yards. Now, if you wanted to bring the parallax out from 50 yards to, let's say, 200 yards, you need to turn this ring counterclockwise. But as you notice, when I turn the ring counterclockwise, a little gap starts forming between the objective lens housing and the end of the threads. So the parallax itself is not set until you physically move this lens until it's flush with this setting. And similarly to how we set parallax before, we recommend you go to a known 200-yard or 300 or 600-yard range, get that parallax perfectly dialed in, and make a little mark on the index ring so you know you have a quick reference point in the future. Once you have that parallax set, you can put this sunshade back on, and that acts as a lock ring. Now, I think we're ready to get this dialed in.